All right, and we're back for another episode of the Sports Department Podcast with Justin Valentovic, Jesse Norman, Stephen Clark, and Stephen Bologna. And we're
Justin Val,
baby.
Thank you for that. And we're back to break down Week 3 of the NFL season. As we're recording, it is currently 27-14 on Monday Night Football between the Cowboys and the Eagles. So we won't really talk about that game too much, but we'll talk about every game from Sunday as well as Thursday Night Football, and we'll get into our pick rankings as well. So, guys, what's going on before we jump into these slate of games?
Bunch of losers on the Sports Department Podcast. Every single one of our teams took a nice
for yourself.
fat
I'm a
L.
Rams fan.
And my Buccaneers took a loss too.
Born and bred.
Football week 3, not as good as the other weeks, but it was nice to have another solid week of football.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, we lost. What can you say?
We can't really shill too hard on our teams this week, as we all did lose. The football team, Colts and Steelers, respectively, all took the L. So let's keep on who's taken L's. And I took another L in picks this week for football. I'm in last with 14 points.
L's?
Yeah, 14 this week. Only 14 this week, which is still a good week. Clark coming up in third. Well, yep, technically third with 15 points. And Jesse and Bologna tied with 16. We all hit our locks of me with the Titans, Jesse and Clark with the Cardinals, and Bologna with the Browns. So bringing our season total to me still in last with 29 points. Clark in third with 34 points, Bologna with 40 points, and Jesse with 43 points. We all have the Cowboys, so whether win or lose, the point differential between us all stays the same. So
that's
like
that the whole season.
It's more than likely. Well, really, it's
like
going to come down to who misses a lock is really what's going to
Well, that's
somebody.
what hurt you guys is you missed your lock.
I had a bad week 1. Yep.
What'd you pick? As your lock? You picked the
We
Packers.
both picked the Packers.
Yeah, week 1 I took Packers. So
they've been good since, of course.
Yep. But we'll get into that game later on in the podcast. So let's just start with Thursday Night Football. The Panthers went into Houston and beat the Texans 24-9. Big takeaway is Clark's number 1 overall pick in our entire fantasy draft. Christian McCaffrey got hurt, but Sam Darnold still looked good. So the Panthers are 3-0 and still rolling.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else was going to talk.
I was going to take it, but I didn't know.
Go ahead, take it.
I like the Panthers team. It sucks though. They just got decimated with injuries. Horn's probably done. McCaffrey McCaffrey is hurt
again
for probably a couple weeks. Yeah, it's tough. I do love the Henderson deal though.
Yeah, they got a steal for Dan Arnold in a draft pick swap, essentially. The Jaguars, that just shows how desperate they were to get rid of him, because they probably could have gotten more for a young cornerback who was taken with a very premium pick. So
what is going on?
What?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Watch the last, I've been reading the replay. I'm literally crying right now.
Why?
Watch the last 10 seconds back on the just watch it back.
What happened?
You took your sip of water, and then Clark did the same motion. So I did the same motion. So
I was looking at the stats. That's why
I was laughing so hard I had to spit out my water.
Clark spit out his water on the floor.
Guys, some truffles there to lap it up.
It's closed.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how many Gary Carters am I going to pull?
Oh my God.
We're goofy tonight. We're goofy.
Yeah.
Tonight.
That was a good one. Panthers are good. Texans aren't.
Davis
Panthers
Mills
got hurt
sucks.
by injuries.
The
Henderson deal, though. Back to the Henderson deal. Absolute steal. The Jags drafted him 9 last year, and they didn't even get a second round pick back for him. They had to give up a 5th to get back a 3rd. This looks so stupid for the Jags, because you could have signed Dan Arnold. You could have done those things in the offseason.
Well, they were banking on their tight end being Tim Tebow, but that fell flat. Another notch on what's going wrong with the Urban Meyer tenure already.
I love that deal for Carolina, though, because that gives them, when J.C. Horn comes back, they're going to have 2
really good
young,
corners,
talented man press corners. And they played a lot of cover 3 last year. And I think they realized how limited they would play with a cover 3. And when you really get into those big spots and you need to man up, you need press corners. I think they're building their team that way with a lot of good young guys. It just really does suck. I don't know how good they're going to be down the stretch because they just keep losing players at every position, it seems, every Sunday or, well, Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Darnold looks happy.
Yeah, he
playing
looks good.
football too.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's so weird.
It's amazing when you get surrounded by talent and offense system that makes sense, and then you can actually thrive.
Yeah, Jets could have had this. They easily could have had this Darnold if they would have put the right pieces around him, would have done the right things for him. Better coaches, better system, better everything. They could have had this Sam Darnold on their team right here, right now, and not Zach Wilson, who seems to be struggling in his first 3 games. But now Panthers, I like the way they look. I really, really do. I'm excited to see how long this undefeated streak lasts because, they don't have like the hardest-ish schedule.
No, they have a third place schedule, so it's a little more easy for some teams, of course, but they're definitely showing a lot more than I thought they would. So let's move into Sunday, and we'll start with the first of the losers in the loser club on this podcast. And we're going to go to Buffalo. The Bills going out and wiping the floor with the football team, beating them 43-21. Josh Allen, he looks good again. He looks every bit of the major contract they wanted to pay him, and he's looking like the MVP candidate that he was last year, passing for 358, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, opposed to Taylor Heineke's 212, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And Antonio Gibson had a really good game as well. Really nice long screen pass touchdown. So at least the offense there looks good. But defensively for the football team, what in the hell is going on is the big question for me, because thank God I benched them as a fantasy team.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Bills are back, 35 plus points on 2 back-to-back playoff teams in 2 weeks. I'm scared. I'm looking at 5 wins all season, and that's it. It's really sad to say. From where we were about a year right at the end of the playoffs last season, you need a quarterback. It comes down bottom line to that. However they want to address that, they can, but you need a quarterback. Taylor Heineke's not your man unless he can surprise me down the stretch. A lot of turnovers, a lot of wild throws. He puts his body on the line, which I like. He has the mobility, but he's scared at the same time to use that mobility. He tries to force throws. Antonio Gibson looking like a franchise running back. Love Terry McLaurin as usual. But with the defense, Justin, you brought it up. For some reason, I just think Jack Del Rio believes he has a very talented defensive line, one of the best in the league. But 4 most of the time is not going to win against 6 in the offensive line when your quarterback is releasing the ball within 3 seconds. It's just not going to work. You have to bring some form of pressure, and Washington's secondary still a little bit young. William Jackson's been playing really well, had a really tough pass interference call against him. Kendall Fuller has not been playing the greatest, and Jamin Davis actually did look pretty good this weekend. So, development is key, but you need a quarterback. It's as simple as that. I've been kind of mulling over the options. Cam Newton's out there, but I feel like they would have signed him today if they really
But also,
wanted
it's
to make
like,
that change.
what does Cam Newton at his stage in his career now give you more than what Taylor Heineke potentially could? That's kind of how maybe they're approaching the situation, because the ceiling with Heineke is a lot higher potentially than what the ceiling with Cam is right now.
Yeah, and I think this team with a quarterback could be deadly. I really do. The offensive line is there, the weapons on the offense, and the defensive is there if you have to make adjustments and make changes. And they have not made adjustments through the first 3 weeks, which does scare me. But we'll see how Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio do this upcoming week. You have a nice game against the Falcons, a very winnable game that you should win. But in terms of Buffalo, they look good as we expected them to.
Yeah.
So Josh Allen looked great.
So Jesse, Steve, what do you guys got?
Josh Allen. That's about it.
He's back.
He's back. He's worth the money, as you stated at the start. Nothing against Washington here. We knew it was going to be somewhat like this, not maybe to the extent of 5
I would have thought it would have
touchdowns,
been a
but
little more competitive, and the defense
with
would have
their
kept
good
them in the
defense,
game a little bit more.
But we even saw Washington against the Giants. Their defense wasn't too hot against the Giants. And that's Daniel Jones. Imagine what happens when you bring in Josh Allen like this, and you see him throw 4 touchdowns, and I think he ran 1 as well. But no, Steve nailed it right in the head. Heineke's not the guy there. He's not the guy at all. And it sucks too, because we've been talking about multiple times here that next year's quarterback class ain't the hottest. A trade might need to happen in the offseason. or just, I don't know, wait another year or so. It might just be like a long process, but you can't waste that defense. That's what sucks.
Because they're all young also. And they're
I
cheap.
think they're playing their future quarterback next week. I think they're playing Matt Ryan, and I think that's who should be a legitimate target off season.
That could work. He could
distribute
distribute it to
Atlanta.
I think Washington would really that's an upgrade over Ryan Fitzpatrick. That's a good veteran upgrade. I think a good young team like that can really be helped by Matt Ryan.
And I'm not, trying to automatically work this back to the Colts just for the sake of it, but like Phillip Rivers last year, it's a similar situation where they have the offensive line, they have the weapons, and they have a young defense where if they get a veteran like Matt Ryan, if they can keep him healthy, it could work potentially because they have everything there that he needs to succeed. And I think that could make them a wild card team potentially.
What about Big Ben?
Oh God, stop. I think legitimately we need to stop talking about the Washington defense like it's good as of right now.
It's the front seven but the secondary needs a lot of help.
We can't even say that. They're not playing good. We can't call this a good defense this year right now. And that happens sometimes. You have a really talented defense that just doesn't play as well as it really should. And we've seen defenses have really good years and then the next year bring back pretty much the same thing and not have the same results. And that's kind of where Washington is headed right now. They could certainly still turn it around, but as of right now, we can't keep calling this a really good defense when mediocre to average offenses are cutting them up.
Yeah. So you know who has a really good defense and showed it? The Cleveland Browns. They went and absolutely murdered Justin Fields in his first start. The Bears gave him no favors in trying to protect him against Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, and that whole bunch of defenders. Trying to find the right wording right there. Kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, just absolute studs on that defensive line. Myles Garrett went in and had, I think, 4.5 sacks. I felt to end the game. Baker did enough offensively to keep them in the game. Obviously, they won 26-6, but the Bears' offense looked anemic and really, really bad. And I saw on Twitter there was kind of a screen grab, a little bit of Nick Foles mouthing to Andy Dalton, "This offense doesn't work." Now, that could be either on Matt Nagy or he thinks what he thinks of Justin Fields. But at the end of the day, the Bears' offense looked pitiful.
This has got to be on Nagy. And I've been a Nagy guy in the past and thought, oh, well, he made Mitch Trubisky look good. Maybe they're just not giving him the right tools. But, I mean, he doesn't have an offensive line. I mean, I got to give him that at least. He's never been given a semi-competent offensive line, not once in his entire coaching tenure. But that offense, I mean, they had I think it was, when you take away the sack yardage, they had one passing yard. It was one.
He was sacked 9 times for 67 yards. He completed 6 passes for 68 yards.
Yeah, their net passing was 1 yard.
They only have just the rushing yards. They didn't even have many of that.
Their combined rushing yards was 46, 12 of which was Justin Fields, 34 of David Montgomery. Well, they only ran the ball 13 times.
I was about to say they stopped running the ball when they were down 7. They went down 7 and were 33
oh my God, plays on offense. Oh my God.
The Browns
dominated.
They also went 3 and out so many times, or they got one first down. It was ugly. It was an ugly game. Anytime it would come on red zone, it was usually for the Browns defense.
Nagy's got to be on his way out, right?
Pat O'Donnell. How many punts do you think he had?
Take a guess. I would say 9.
7. How many yards do you think his net punting yards were?
250.
Oh my God.
300.
397.
Ooh, so 400.
God.
Wow.
Give him team of the year.
That's pretty solid, yeah.
But no, it doesn't matter. Everybody wanted, Justin Fields.
He went in there with no help, and they set him up to fail.
It can't change everything. It doesn't fix everything. Just putting in a young, good quarterback doesn't change it all.
I know I said this last week, but it's been a rough start for these rookie quarterbacks.
All the rookie quarterbacks have struggled. All four of them.
God.
I will say, I think the Lawrence criticism is a little harsh because everybody's like, oh, 6 interceptions.
He's made some
I
brutal. Some of
agree.
them have been brutal.
Two or three of them, I know for sure at least 2
Were dropped.
were entire receiver error. Like
Yeah,
Jacob Hollister.
I've
like,
always been
what?
if it bounces off a receiver or something, it shouldn't count against the quarterbacks. But that's just me. That's a debate we'll get
I'm
into.
all in for adding errors to receivers and running backs.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Count that as a turnover for them.
Peyton broke the rookie interception record, and look how he turned out.
Exactly. And the
Yeah.
other ones that were close were like what? Elway, I think they said, or something.
Aikman, Aikman and
20s,
Elway.
yeah. But
Wow.
yeah, this was just pure domination by the Browns. Simple as that.
Yep. Pride of the AFC North.
Yeah, and
Yep.
we'll keep it in the north, and that's with the Ravens.
Speaking of North, you know where Jesse lives?
Michigan, and that's actually where we're going. Believe it or not, the
No way.
Lions played competitive.
You're driving, right? On your tab.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
A lot of tolls. So
Oh,
basically, story of this game: the Ravens got the good old Madden play clock, where they hold the last second of the play clock for about 5 seconds. No one called a delay game. That field goal should have been backed up even further. And Justin Tucker has an absolute leg that basically put him in the Hall of Fame alone with this kick, hitting a record-breaking 66-yard field goal to win 19-17. The Lions, though, yes, they're bad. Yes, they are 0-3, but they're playing competitive football and staying in these games and getting not really blown out at all.
I
that's
don't
kind of
think
big
the
takeaway.
Lions are bad.
no, they're not. Clark, we've been on this, bro. We've been
Yeah,
on
no,
this.
Justin just said they're bad.
No,
yeah.
He said they're
No,
bad,
Justin.
but
No.
they are playing
Justin said
competitive
last week
football.
that they were bottom 3, and we were like,
I think
but now,
I like what Dan Campbell, because it's clear they got rid of everyone who's not buying into the Dan Campbell biting kneecaps aggressive system of playing competitive football, right? Like his rah motivation of taking extremes amount of caffeine before going anywhere, basically.
Works.
Yeah, it shows that even though they're losing, the players are buying into his shtick at this point, and that's why they're
They-
competitive against good teams.
and look who
They
they're
should have
playing too.
won
The
this
first
game.
Oh, absolutely.
They should have won.
Oh,
this
yeah,
Because
no,
you have to think.
easily
You have to
should've
think
won.
if they're backed up 5 yards, that's a 71-yard field goal. No
Yeah,
one's
they're not
hitting
even
that.
attempting
That
it.
means Lamar's
No.
taking a shot downfield, which more than likely is either being lateraled around like that, like a backyard football play, or it's just getting swatted, right? And they win, and they walk away with a 1-point win.
Yeah,
But it doesn't
no.
break their way, and it doinks in. But Tucker, man, that was one hell of a kick.
No.
We saw history. We saw plenty of history. We saw the longest play in NFL history that tied it, and we saw obviously Tucker the longest kick in NFL history, which was just it doinked off the crossbar and went in, but still very talented, very insane. I don't know who's gonna break. I don't think anyone's gonna break that anytime
No, that's
soon.
good. That's gonna be tough to break.
No, that's going to stand for
Maybe a
while.
yard.
I don't even know who could
I
break
think
it.
I think it would have to be in Denver too. That's the crazy part too. He didn't
He was
even
in a
do this
dome.
in Denver.
It's
It was in a dome in Detroit,
No
which
wind.
actually his
How's the
career-
elevation? What's the elevation in Michigan, Jesse?
I couldn't tell you. You're the one who's so obsessed with geography. I thought you'd know.
No.
I mean, his previous career long was also in Detroit for 61, which was interesting.
Yeah.
Lamar got bailed here. That
Yeah.
Detroit Lions defense was playing them hard. They shut the run down, and I mean, I Marquis Brown, dude, you dropped.
Another one of
dropped
my
like
fantasy
3.
people, baby.
I think people keep saying 2. I think he dropped 3.
He dropped 2 touchdowns and one just
And one that
regular
was
pass.
one that nobody. I think he dropped one that nobody was in front of him, and
Yeah,
I think he
yeah.
could have broke it, but it wasn't in the end zone. He dropped 2 that were like in the end zone. That's bad. Rashad Bateman's got to get healthy for them, and even then, you're putting so much stock into a rookie wide receiver when in reality, Jamar Chase is the only rookie wide receiver that looks really good right now. Devontae Smith has shown flashes here and there. And I mean, there's other guys that look okay, but besides Jamar Chase, I mean, you're really going to count on Rashad Bateman to come in and just change your passing game.
It's a lot of pressure on Lamar, but I didn't get to watch the game, so I really don't know about this whole. I saw the Excel clock was at 0.
Yeah.
Again, it is
And
what
hell,
it is.
People were saying that it wasn't that
The official clock.
in the game. Though.
Yeah.
They said in the arena the clock was still in the 20s, but sometimes they don't reset it on the TV graphic because the TV graphic is different than the one in the arena. Like they're running by two different people.
Okay. Yeah.
Justin, come on. You literally were
No, I
in
know.
a control room.
Yeah, I know that's how that. Yeah, because when
it's hard to be
produced.
in sync. It is.
No, yeah, when I would have to run scoreboard for the local company that I did high school games for, I was running the scoreboard off of what the thing was. So yeah, Jesse's correct. It could very well have been off that way too.
Yeah,
I think that's just what people were saying.
No, it's very
arena, at
possible,
least.
but on its surface, it looks bad.
Yeah. End of the day, though, Lions played tough. Should have won this game. Lamar bailed out, and Justin Tucker's might be one of, if not the greatest kicker of all time.
The greatest.
Until he becomes a great stat patter like Adam Vinatieri. So, speaking of Adam Vinatieri's old team, the Indianapolis Colts went into Tennessee with a no-legged Carson Wentz, a statue, very reminiscent of Phil Rivers and Peyton Manning and Johnny Nice, the great mobile quarterbacks of Indy's past. Basically, he went in there and did as much as he could with no ankles whatsoever. The defense had 3 takeaways and they still lost 25-16, which is inexcusable for a team to get 3 takeaways and still lose. As a whole, though, Colts at least kept Derrick Henry in check for the most part. He never really broke off too many long runs. Obviously, he still had a productive day. Ran over Darius Leonard, so that was fun. But Quentin Nelson and a whole bunch of other injuries for the Colts continue to plague this season.
I think it's funny. Keeping Henry in check is like 113 yards.
Yeah, it is.
No, it is.
God, I know, especially after week 2. No, I mean, Colts played hard. I gave them credit for that. Obviously, no one predicted them winning this one. But my biggest question about this is where the hell has the running game been for the Colts the last couple of weeks? I mean,
well, Taylor got the ball going a little bit, 64 yards on 10 carries, and Naheem Hines
10 carries. You have your franchise back now for 10.
They only ran the ball 18 times. With Wentz being as immobile as he was, you'd think you would run it a lot more, but obviously Q went down early, so that probably had them to change the game plan, which at that point, then if you're changing to Carson Wentz having to throw on 2 bum ankles, you're dead on arrival right there then. And that's basically what happened.
I love how Justin says they shut down Henry with 100
No,
plus
I didn't say
yards,
shut down.
but
didn't
Jonathan
say shut
Taylor
down.
64. He really got the run game going.
I don't know what he does.
Also, you got to realize AJ Brown went down early in this game.
Yes.
And listen, like you said, Colts played tough. Michael Pittman Jr. is very good. I will say
wide receiver one.
He's showing flashes.
He's the only receiver.
He's the one who gets open.
He's the only one they should keep. I've said it constantly.
Props to the Titans backup receivers for stepping up. They played very well. King Henry is always going to be King Henry. He's a monster.
Yeah, they got a nice no-name backup called Julio Jones.
And then it's a division game, so the Colts played them tough. But
they could only
begin to worry about the Colts. I mean, 0-3
now,
and more tough.
I
think playoffs are kind of already falling.
Which is half the thing for Wentz. We can't. That's good. We keep our first round pick.
Yeah, you'll keep the first rounder.
Put them on ice week 15 and later.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about the Colts. I mean, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think
they
the
lose
Titans are
next
give
week
up
against Miami with Jacoby Brissett, who looked really well. We'll talk about that. It's really time to pack it in and look to next season and just try to get everyone
Miami
healthy. Yes. So that's not fun. Rough.
Yeah, that's
I'm glad
the Titans division
thing
for
we
sure.
get to watch this in a month and a half when we get to relive this pain on Hard Knocks. So
aren't you excited to go to Monday Night Football, Justin, to watch a possibly 0-4 team in Baltimore?
Yep, bought those tickets already. They got that road trip ready to go in week 5. Oh fuck. Yeah. Colts, though, they're getting bit hard by the injury bug and just lackluster offense.
And they stink.
And it's been the story of their season. Every team gets injured, every team gets hurt, but the lack of depth, if we're being quite honest, is bad because Kenny Moore.
That's so interesting because isn't Ballard's thing that he trades back and gets depth?
Yes,
he always is
because here's
getting
the thing.
A ton of picks.
That's not always good though.
After Kenny Moore, our cornerback 2 is Xavier Rhodes. He got hurt. Then it's Rocky Sin, got hurt. And then it's Marvell Tell and TJ Carey.
You're kind of in the position that the Eagles were in a couple years ago where your top literally 4 corners are out
Carson,
and you're
bringing that over
on
here.
your practice squad.
Well, Kari Willis, their strong safety, got hurt. And then you know who their backup strong safety is? I didn't even know he was on the team till I was in Indianapolis last week.
Baby.
Anderson Sendejo.
Yeah.
Didn't know he was. I
Sendejo.
literally
Elite safety.
didn't even know he was on the team till he went in on a special
I didn't
teams
either.
play, and I watched and I make sure I
didn't
track
either.
everything this team does. I didn't even know that. So
He made
tough.
he made a tackle for loss, Jesse, and I texted Justin. I'm like, I can't wait for you to start saying he's an elite safety now.
No, I don't even know that he's on the team. You'd think all pro safety George Odom would be
Oh yeah.
making some plays, but he's not. So
He's
let's
all
talk about
pro.
an actual good football game, potentially game of the week out in Kansas City. The Chargers went into Arrowhead and made a big statement win, beating the Chiefs 30-24, putting them at 1-2 for the first time since 2015. They had a losing record.
And in last place.
Yeah, and in last place. And of course, the big news is that Andy Reid went to the hospital afterwards for illness precautionary observation. So hopefully he is okay and nothing too serious. But on the other side, this is what you need the Chargers to do. You know, if they want to take the next step and be the team to, you know, potentially take over the division and give the Chiefs a run, these are the games they have to win. And it's all good news for the Chargers out there in LA. They're really building something good.
Brandon Staley, first year head coach, nice start here. Could have won that Dallas game, very close, but nevertheless, 2-1 going into Arrowhead. You win. You have 2 early interceptions from Mahomes. Mahomes, you know, he tries to get cute sometimes with his no-look passes, and he misses wide open receivers. Tyreek Hill not really a factor in this game. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, another fumble.
3 weeks.
But Herbert just looks insane. Him and Keenan Allen are just a deadly duo. Austin Eckler always getting into the action. And Derwin James is the game changer. When he is on the field, he's that game changer.
He's elevated that defense this year alone. Obviously, last year he missed the whole season, and his presence is being seen on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying before the year started that we needed to slow down on the Chargers. Nah, we gotta.
You're buying in.
We gotta push that. I've been buying in since I've seen Herbert this year. I've said it and I'm standing by it. Herbert, I think, is already like a top 6 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think he is. Oh my God, he's so good.
He really is.
The composure that he plays with on third down. I don't think I've ever seen it.
When he's
I truly
in the
don't.
pocket, he's one of the most relaxed looking quarterbacks and one of the best throwing out of the pocket.
Every third down, like every single one, he is so, he always puts it, even if it's not a completion, he did absolutely every single thing he possibly could for it to work
possibly
out.
work. Yes.
Like the play to Guyton, I know he got the defensive pass interference, but he hit Guyton right on the chest and he didn't catch it. If that was going to be the 4th down and they had to punt it back, it wouldn't have been on Herbert. He put the ball right on the spot. His clutch factor is just so insane for a second-year quarterback.
And that's where, you know, that's kind of where we saw Mahomes take that next step to an elite MVP quarterback in his second year full-time as a starter. So the fact that, you know.
But Herbert played this way in his 3rd career game. Mahomes had a year to learn.
Yeah,
so
that's the thing.
It's insane.
Last year when he had to come in as a pinch hitter, essentially, after Tyrod got stabbed by his own trainer, he gave him a game and they almost won that game.
Yeah.
We also don't know how good Mahomes would have been if they put him in that first year, midway through the season.
Uh-oh.
Like if they Kaepernicked it, you can't tell me that guy wasn't that guy just a couple months before he took the whole league by storm.
Yeah.
He definitely still had something there. I think the Chargers, just had a little incident and stabbed Tyrod Taylor. So they
accidentally, this game made me look like a genius finally. I said Chiefs were going to take a step back this year. They're in last place right now. I said Herbert MVP candidate.
Pretty good.
Well,
Never know.
Picks like that for your fantasy team. You might have
Yeah.
But no, Herbert, this is showing, Chargers might have found something really special in them for sure. So one quick game before we wrap up this portion of the pod and take a break. Let's talk about the Saints and the Patriots. New Orleans went in to Foxborough. Jameis Winston had a nice redemption game after being pitiful the week prior, going in, throwing up, what was that, 400? Does that say 400? No, 128. I just can't see. My computer is terrible. Yep, 128, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he threw like 20 times total.
21.
21,
Mac Jones
yeah.
threw 51 times, which is an insane amount to ask a young quarterback to do. 270, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. So they put the game on his back for sure. After they've had him kind of be a game manager for the first 2 weeks.
Well, the thing is that they were trying to not have him like take over the whole game plan, but
they just said, screw it.
Well, they just like this game was so bad and it should have been even worse. The Saints missed their first 2 field goals.
Mm-hmm.
They were up 7-0. They should have been up 13-0. They were letting the Patriots kind of hang around. And then the Patriots still just got stomped into the ground because they couldn't get the run game going. And it showed that when they can't get their run game going and they can't play action pass, Mac Jones is not the quarterback right now. And that's fair. He's in like his 3rd career game. He's a rookie. You shouldn't be asking him to throw 50 times. But also, you shouldn't be falling down that hard and having that much trouble against the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, the Saints are still my biggest question mark out of all the NFL teams, I think. I really still don't know what to think of them because they're either really good, really bad, but then you look at the teams they're versing, like, are the Patriots that bad this year? It's like it's the Saints are the biggest question mark out of all 30 teams.
The Saints give me like Chicago Bears last year vibes, where it's like they can win in the most obscure ways. Like they'll have an Alvin Kamara game where he like takes wildcat snaps
and puts up 6 touchdowns on Christmas
and
Day.
Puts up like 5 touchdowns, and like their defense will probably win them a couple games, and they might like sneak into like a couple good wins because they're just like such a weird team to play against. But I don't think they're like actually legitimately good. I don't think they could compete with actual good teams. But when you're playing a team like the Patriots, who I think are still kind of finding their identity, because we, similar to Washington, we were like, oh, this is a good defense. Well, they haven't played like it. I mean, they did against Zach Wilson, but so does everybody.
Yeah, no, I don't think the Patriots are too hot.
And it kills a little bit of the momentum going into the Tom Brady return game, where
be so
we'll
good.
see
they're gonna get destroyed
stomped.
because they can't. The Patriots can't compete in a game that they can't run the ball. No. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are
also can't run the ball.
The best team. Well, but they're also the best team at stopping the run.
Well, it's also Tom Brady coming off a tough loss and going back home, and he's under 100 yards away from breaking the all-time passing record. So he has a little bit of motivation, to say the least. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll break down the last 8 games from week 3, and we'll kick things off with the Giants and Falcons. So that's a fun game to start off with.
So you want people to click off right now.
Yeah, basically.
Stay tuned
and
for that
then we'll have the final game of the Loser Club with Jesse Steelers as well. But stay tuned. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. And we're back for the second half of this podcast. Thank you, Steve. All right. Like I said,
he got you so good.
He got him.
Indeed, he did. So I said we're going to pick things up with the Falcons and Giants. And on Eli Manning Day, in true Giant fashion, they lose within seconds of a final
you can't
kick.
Disrespect Eli like that.
It's so yeah, but he lost a lot.
Eli Manning is the reason Tom Brady doesn't have 9,
which would be disgusting. But it is true Giant fashion, because I feel like they lose a lot of games this way with last second.
You mean
kicks,
leading,
and then blowing it in the end? Yeah.
What a Falcons way to come back. What a good job,
Arthur
for the
Smith.
Falcons.
Am I right?
Arthur Smith,
the greatest offensive mind in history.
Play calling
Christ himself.
Justin once whispered in my ear while I was asleep that Arthur Smith is all he dreams about. It was really insane. But no, the Giants, man, led almost the whole game and then blew it to like the blowing it Kings in the Falcons.
The best at blowing.
That's what they called Justin in high school, the blowing it King.
But man, like this was so ugly too. This game was like, don't think either of these defenses are good. Like the offenses are just so bad. That's really my takeaway. Like these offenses are
Well,
so,
the Giants
and
also
it really
lost,
starts at the line.
also lost 2 receivers. They lost Slayton, they lost Shepard. So even with that, Jones played fine, 266, yards passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So at least he didn't turn the ball over. But Kenny Golladay, yeah, he's got to get better. 4 catches
4
for
years,
64 yards.
big contract.
Early
Oh,
return
God,
on this
it's like the
contract
Ebron deal.
it's looking tough. Kadarius Toney, 2 receptions, 16 yards. So that's looking like a great pick for the Giants off for that.
They don't know what to do with him.
No, they really don't.
It's very, very obvious. They have absolutely no idea what to do with him. That is something that Gettleman definitely wanted, and Jason Garrett was like, "What do you want me to do with this?" And this is what I can't believe I didn't put this together earlier. And I don't know why. I'm so stupid. The Cowboys had Tavon Austin with Jason Garrett. And he literally had no idea what to do with him.
Same player.
He had absolutely no idea what to do with him. Why would the Giants all of a sudden think that he now knows what to do with that gadget player? I can't believe nobody's brought this up yet. Like, he had absolutely no idea what to do with a crazy electric player. It's 6 years, 7, I don't even know how many years later, but he still doesn't know what to do. Tony can't get any snaps. And now that just looks like a waste of a first-round pick. And Garrett, oh, God, he's got to go. He's got to go.
Yeah, it's bad.
The Devonta Smith really killed them that they couldn't get him. And they were like, oh,
they panicked. Yeah.
So,
Stupid.
Yeah, this is embarrassing to lose on Eli Manning Day.
They also lost.
Nailed it right down the middle.
No.
It's not easy to do.
Did anybody doubt it? Honestly, I knew
he's getting up there with some of the kicker, like the automatic tier of kickers where they come in, you're like, they're good. All right, we're good.
Only thing from the Falcons side that I really took away is that they're not getting Kyle Pitts too involved at all. He's supposed to be this generational tight end, one of the greatest tight ends.
2 receptions for 35 yards.
Yeah, he only got targeted 3 times too.
On the last drive.
Mm-hmm.
He did. But I mean, like, I was expecting 2 touchdowns a game from this guy. Like, I don't know. I guess,
like I said,
I think is your guy, but I mean, come on.
I think the Arthur Smith system just doesn't use a tight end as much. But
Ridiculous.
To be fair,
typical, not using all your weapons.
He needs to.
Actually, that's so efficient.
Just
just force feed one player.
Just force feed one player the whole time. Works so great for Najee Harris.
At least for the Falcons, they get a win in a waste of a season, and the Giants just continue to spiral out of control.
The worst receiver in history, Cordero Patterson, torched this Giant secondary.
He's not a receiver anymore. He's
a running back.
He's a running back.
Is he really?
He's a running back. Yeah, he's their
depth chart wise as a running back.
Wow.
Yeah, he's their secondary.
That switch kind of happened with the
Bears.
Patriots
/ Bears.
Yeah.
Patriots, Bears. Yeah.
He's been everywhere.
Yeah, he
was part of that. He was part of that Vikings 3 first-rounders that they took.
How the hell they give him Randy Moss's number too when he went there? That's just bullshit. So I said before, we'll round things out with the loser club, and that is with Jesse's good old Big Ben led.
I don't know why you keep saying
Steelers.
this. I'm a Rams fan.
Okay. Bengals went to Pittsburgh, won 24-10. Big Ben, boy, it's brutal. It is brutal to watch. He is beyond washed, kind of like how Eli just did not age gracefully. We always like, oh, Big Ben hasn't fallen off yet, and it is showing now that he is falling off hard, as he's the last one remaining from that draft class, and he is showing his age. Jesse.
All yours, Jesse.
I'm just so sick of this team, and I'm so sick of people acting like there's anybody to blame except for Ben Roethlisberger. I've heard Steelers fans blame like 3 different offensive coordinators. I've heard quarterback coaches blamed. I've heard so many things. Oh, there's no run game. Oh, there's not this, there's not that. Do you know why the offense looks the same no matter the offensive coordinator in charge? It's because Ben doesn't want to learn a new system. Ben doesn't want to learn new audibles. There's a reason that last year, the Washington football team, when Ben would audible, was calling out the plays because Ben's ran the same audibles for 3 years and doesn't want to learn new ones. Great that you're getting in shape. You're still not smart at football. Ben is not a smart quarterback. He's never been an X's and O's guys. He's never been he's getting older, but his brain like Peyton Manning. No, Ben's never been that guy. Ben's never been the guy to look around and break down a defense with his eyes. He's always just been a big athletic guy who can break a lot of tackles and sling the football far. And guess what? He can't break any tackles anymore. The only thing he can break is his own ankles on a freaking screen run pass.
That's our quarterback.
Yeah. I mean,
we sprain ankles.
The force feeding of Najee Harris is just disgusting.
Well, that's what they
checked down. No, Justin, they checked down to him on a flat on 4th and 10 with the game on the line. 4th and 10, and Ben can't even throw to the first down marker. No.
That's Drew
Drops
Brees.
Back 2 seconds into the play, drops off to Najee Harris. They were all over the line of scrimmage, and he couldn't even hold on to the ball for an extra second. It's bad.
And
the defense is just getting hurt more and more.
And they won't even like Ben McAdoo it and have pull like how they pulled Eli for Geno Smith, right? Like we're not going to see them.
Also, that was stupid.
No, it was. But at the same time, they're not going to pull the plug on Ben because if this is his last hurrah, which you hope that it is, they're not going to pull him early to get a look, air quotes, at like a Mason Rudolph or Haskins. Like that's just not. Well,
here's the beautiful part: you don't have to because he'll get hurt. He's not Eli. Eli could sit back there and never get hurt.
You get the shit kicked out of him.
Ben will get hurt. Ben's going to hurt himself. He already is hurt. He has like a separated pec. So you're gonna see Haskins and you're gonna see Rudolph, and it's gonna somehow look even worse with Rudolph. I don't know why Rudolph's even on the team. Every Steelers fan feels the exact same way about Mason Rudolph. I don't know why
where's Landry Jones team when you need him?
In the XFL.
Still.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't put it past us at this point that maybe Haskins is a better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger. I really wouldn't be, because at least Haskins is young and his arm still has something in it. Ben's arm is dead. It's dead. Ben's done.
Club during COVID. Real quick.
It's
Dwayne Haskins.
There's nothing about this team that I'm done.
Anything positive on the Bengals before we move along?
Jamar Chase is really good.
Sneaky 2-1 right here. Very sneaky. They're playing the Jags this week.
Saving Zach Taylor's job week by week.
Possibly going 3-1 to start the season because they're versus the Jags on Thursday Night Football. So
that's a rough game.
I mean, I'm glad they're getting every team has to have their primetime game, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're getting these two out of the way,
early,
two birds with one stone, kind of in a way. But no, like Jesse said, Jamar Chase is looking to be the best rookie, maybe a candidate for rookie of the year at the moment, just because the quarterbacks haven't been too hot.
And there's no running backs. I would have to say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely got to be Chase right now.
Great duo reunited. I love it. Burrow looked okay, a lot better than last week. What is 4 interceptions last week? He had 2 or something, 3 or 4,
threw 3 or 4 touchdowns. Or something like that.
Yeah, threw for 3 touchdowns this week. So against a pretty solid Steelers defense too, he did that. So I give him credit. Now sneaky 2-1. Steelers, yikes. That's about it for me.
The Bengals catch a break with TJ Watt not playing.
Yeah, that helped.
Get this guy Burrow an offensive line, and this could be something special one day. And it's awesome that Jamar Chase is doing this weeks after reporters just telling him, "Oh, you can't catch, really?
Can't catch a ball.
Just
can't catch a ball."
Dropping dimes with Joey B. So that's nice to see. But again, it's the Bengals. I'm not putting too much stock into them.
No. Yeah, you don't. No. Come on, we can all agree at this point now. That Pittsburgh Buffalo week 1, that's an anomaly. You put that.
I don't know how the hell that happened.
Put Buffalo against Pittsburgh 10 times. Buffalo wins 9 times.
Yeah,
that was the
one loss.
Yeah, that was the one. That was it. That's what it was. This team isn't that team. This team is bad. The Steelers are bad. I really hope we just are bad and get a high draft pick. Shut TJ down for the year. Honestly, pay him to go home and just save up the reps or something for next year, because it is oh my God. I really do. I want to change at quarterback so bad. I would give anything for Cam Newton right now.
Oof.
Give me Cam Newton, who can't even throw a ball, just running read options, and I think that'd be better than watch. I would definitively rather watch that than watching freaking 38-year-old Ben Roethlisberger slinging the ball 5 yards and under 53 times.
All right, what if Kyrie, Katie, and Harden have to leave the Nets?
Okay, no. I need something in the sport. I need something in
I need a sport. That's how I feel about basketball.
I need
too.
a
My
sport.
one sport.
I need a sport. I need something.
And I get nothing. But
No.
talking about a team that gets nothing nice, that's the Jacksonville Jaguars, as they did get Trevor Lawrence, which is something nice for the first time in a long, long time. But he's not playing up to the hype that everyone thought he would. And Clark was sweating this game out for a little bit as the Cardinals were close to losing and flirting with a loss. But after a 109-yard kick six from the Jaguars, they still came back and won 31-19. Kyler Murray looks really, really good. Threw an interception, no touchdowns, but over 300 yards as well. So he got the job done.
Yeah, this is a game to just gloss over quickly. Like we said the other weeks, good team being a bad team, plain and simple. Kyler Murray, MVP candidate. James Conner showed up for 2 touchdowns. That's nice, Jesse. That Jesse enjoyed that, seeing that for a little bit. No, I'm not gonna destroy Trevor Lawrence yet because
The flea flicker interception was a brutal.
It was bad.
Throw. That was a brutal throw.
Here's the thing. Why were you running a flea flicker?
I think they were down like 12 at that point.
It
Almost.
looked bad.
And why was the design so bad? They ran a guy like around the back who never actually touched the ball. And I think he was supposed to be the check down, but he like started blocking. So there was only one receiver on a route. So Lawrence didn't have an option because there wasn't enough guys blocking for him. So he couldn't run away and throw the ball away. He either had to take the sack or throw the ball up to the one receiver who was like running a route.
Yeah, that was bad. But no, like I know Jesse and I, like I keep bringing up every week, we stuck with Burrow through the bad offensive line. You know, Jaguars don't have the best offensive line. They don't have the best weapons.
They don't really have anything.
No, and if they're finally starting to get James Robinson a little more involved, he finally got a touchdown, almost hit 100 yards on the day. So getting him a little more involved will take the load off of Lawrence a lot. That's what Urban Meyer needs to learn. You can run the ball. It's
Urban Meyer needs to learn a lot about coaching in the NFL.
Yeah.
And what makes the Cardinals
like how to actually coach in the NFL.
Their 1 year just waiver signing, AJ Green, 5 catches, 112 yards.
It's paying off.
It just could be another added weapon. Hopkins, I mean, non-factor in this game. I didn't watch it.
He was banged up. He was banged.
If Henderson was guarding him, but that would be such a Jaguars move.
Trade the guy who just locked down one of the top receivers.
The guy who just locked him up. No, I mean, Urban's not a good coach.
No,
I think,
this won't last.
This doesn't seem great.
No.
What was the contract?
Like it's
7 years?
It's something like that. It's really tough. Well, a college team would come in and buy him out.
Oh yeah,
pretty much. That's how that would go, I think. But no, this team, they should have won this game. Like they lost like in convincing fashion too. Like that's the crazy part. Like they should have won this game and they lost not even close. Lawrence, he has some really good plays every week. Like the talent flashes, but everything around him is bad. He's had, like I said, he's had 2 or 3 drops that have turned into interceptions that were not his fault. The run game is brutal. The line doesn't look good. The defense played a lot better than the score would actually suggest. Kyler was held pretty much in check after the first drive. Yep. So like this is tough because it's like when are they going to win a game?
I don't know. And just a side note on Meyer's contract, it was a 7-year deal, and I looked up his old Ohio State one. He was signed technically through this season through Ohio State, so he should still be in college, but he pulled the old retirement card, so he's going to be getting a lot of money from 2 different teams for a while, and this was a bad game for him as well. And we'll keep things with bad teams, bad rookie quarterbacks. And that is the Broncos going out there and absolutely slapping around the Jets and Zach Wilson, 26-0. Jets are a bad team. Poor Robert Saleh still can't get a win, but Teddy Two Gloves and the Broncos still are rolling 3-0.
2 gloves, baby. I love the Broncos. This is what the Vikings could have had with Teddy Bridgewater. I still say this. If they would have, I know injuries.
His knee never exploded.
Yeah, I know injuries ruin that whole thing. And you get Kirk Cousins and blah, blah, blah. But I was always a believer in Teddy. I love seeing Teddy succeed. He's just a good, genuine dude. And just seeing him in Denver with all the weapons they got there. I know I think KJ Hamler I saw is out for the season now, which kind of stinks, but you still have decent receivers. Sutton, Patrick, you still have a bunch of solid receivers, even without Jerry.
No
Jeudy,
fan.
Yeah, fantastic top, 7 tight end, definitely. No, I like the Broncos a lot. They're legit 3-0, I still think. I think they're one of the more legit ones compared to like the Panthers and all that. And the Jets, they stink.
Or Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I got nothing with that.
This Jets team looks worse than any of the Darnold teams so far.
And that's with 2 years of Adam Gase.
This is, I think,
also with a lot of Adam Gase and Todd Bowles.
This offense is so. It's
just disjointed and a mess. Like nothing's working.
They've been shut out. Like the Patriots should have shut them out.
They have 6 points this whole season.
6 points per So
this whole season.
I think they're 32nd in points, and then the next one is the Bears, who have double their points actually, or averaging like double the points that they are. Their offense is so bad. Like I can't put it into words. Good for Denver. Like I've said numerous times, they are a good team, a good roster. Teddy can get them to the playoffs. I don't think he'll get them further than that, but they are a legit, really good quarterback away from being another really, really stacked team in the AFC West.
Yeah, if Bridgewater can just take care of the ball and get it to his playmakers, he could, do good things with
his
team.
Denver's really rallied around him,
which is good,
and has really enjoyed him.
And that's really the first time anyone's done that since his injury. His brief stint with the Saints. It was always, Taysom Hill might be getting the job. So like he never was truly.
Or it was also just a placeholder for Breeze while
exactly
he was out.
And I'm not saying he could get him to the Super Bowl, but he could keep them in playoff games to where the defense could get them to win a few games and maybe make a deep run. So he's doing everything that they need him to do, and it shows, and it's good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about potential game of the week, a wild game without their starting quarterback. The Miami Dolphins with Jacoby Brissett went into the Death Star to take on the Raiders with an absolute wild game in overtime. Jacoby, 4th and 20, throws an absolute dot to Mike Gesicki for a conversion to keep the drive alive. They ended up tying it, I think, with that at the end of that drive. But the Raiders ultimately came away with a 31-28 win. And Derek Carr, we buying into the hype?
Yes. Yes. Ever since last week, the week before, he's honestly, the team looks good as a whole. Peyton Barber came out of nowhere basically after
came out of Washington, baby.
Yeah.
There you go. Look at that. I thought Kenyon Drake was going to get majority.
He fucking sucked in Washington, though.
Look at that. That's like the Mets with that. Like you get rid of the player.
The second they leave, they're good.
Somewhere else. No, I thought Kenyon Drake was going to get majority of the snaps, but no. Peyton Barber over 23 snaps, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. They looked good. Ruggs looks pretty good.
Ruggs is taking the next step. Like he's getting open and he's making big catches.
Yeah, and Carr almost threw for 400 with 2 touchdowns. Like
he's making clutch throws.
Yeah, he's making big time throws.
They're legit. I wonder, if the Death Star would have had some fans last year, if things would have been different. The hype around the new stadium is maybe, pushing this team a little bit more than usual. But
the defense, though, still needs some work. It's been very good this year.
Jacoby sauced them up a little bit here and there.
They've played above they've been playing above their weight class, let's say, but they need
secondary help.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. Their front
Jonathan
seven
Abram,
actually been
Jonathan Abram, right? Yeah, the safety. Yeah. He's a glorified linebacker, but he hits like a truck.
He hits so hard. Yeah. No, their front seven. I like Max Crosby. I think is an incredibly underrated player.
That's a massive steal.
Crosby and Nassib are good. If they can get one more like interior defensive guy, like if Farrell could just really develop into like that interior player, he would that defensive line would be set. I don't want to buy into the Raiders too much just because Gruden's kind of a weirdo.
And it's
sometimes.
It's just
and I feel like his team can collapse at any moment. I hope Carr can stay healthy because the last time we seen this kind
Colts
of run
snapped his leg on Christmas Eve,
and he
2014.
hasn't been the same. He's
Took
he's
7
shown
years to
flashes
get
here
back.
and
Until
there.
now.
Yeah, it took
Yeah.
7 years to
So-
get back to this.
I really hope he can continue this. Because I always felt bad because they always seem to be trying to move off of him, but like so many teams would love if their
And it was so
quarterback
nice to
Derek
actually
Carr.
see them distribute the ball and targets to like more than one, just Darren Waller.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
honestly, their receiving core isn't bad. I like
It's
Brian
a bunch of
Edwards.
no names and washed up players like trying to make a comeback. Really, like
I think
Edwards, Renfro, Drake
Renfro-
Jones.
Renfro's good.
Zay Jones.
Gruden says Renfro is their best player. Renfro is a really good slot though, and then
Yeah.
Ruggs is such a good deep threat,
And they
then
complement
Brian
each other
Edwards-
well.
And Edwards is such a good like do everything else, and then you also have Waller. I mean, when Josh Jacobs is healthy, this offense
Can move,
This
can
offense
collect.
is good,
They
but
can be good.
they should really invest in the line, and within I think by like next year they could be. Really
They had a line. They dumped it all. Rodney
They
Hudson,
dumped it all.
Don
They
Cave,
did.
Jackson, Kelechi Osemele.
Gone.
They had a top line.
Leatherwood,
Yeah,
They
baby.
just got rid of it.
Leatherwood is playing like crap.
I love that Cleveland Farrell was taken, or Max Crosby was taken the same draft just in the 4th round as
Yep.
Cleveland Farrell.
You know,
and
and
that
he's by
just
far the better
flip-flops.
player.
That's why the
Mhm.
draft is a crapshoot, regardless. But yeah,
Sure.
I'm buying into the Raiders a little bit. I like them.
I
Yeah,
like
this-
them. I like
this is
them,
tough.
but
This
I don't
is
think they
tough for
keep
the
up the same
Dolphins, too.
consistency. But I like them. I
No,
do.
and
That's-
it just makes the AFC West just
Fun.
even more harder.
The Chiefs are in last. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, talking about Jesse's new team, the adopted,
Beat my new,
LA
beat my new
Rams.
team.
Blue and gold, baby.
you know, his
runs
fantasy
through
quarterback
these
that we
veins.
stupidly let it fall to him.
MVP.
Like we said, the
MVP.
draft is just a crapshoot, even in fantasy. Matt Stafford going out there playing lights out like an MVP. You know, Sean McVay is on something because he is jazzed up on the sideline, running around like an absolute
You
maniac.
saw
And
him
they-
after that Deshaun Jackson
my God, he
touchdown.
Dude, he
He
ran.
was
He ran.
insane.
The first
stride
one
for
to greet him.
stride.
with
The first one to
Deshaun
greet him.
Jackson. But no, the Rams
McVay
are
definitely
having
runs
fun.
under a 4.7.
Oh, he's insane. He's gotta be,
I for sure think so.
yeah.
Probably.
But the Rams took it to the Super Bowl champion, the Bucks. They beat them 34-24. Bucks couldn't get the run game going at all. Tom Brady was their leading rusher. And
yeah,
oof,
When do you guys think it was the last time that happened?
never. High school.
Never.
No.
High school.
Now
Michigan.
Rams, man. These
Justin, you had a shot.
Rams.
Letting it go.
Yeah. Rams obviously the most legit undefeated team right now. Super
Oh,
Bowl contenders, whatever.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford, I mean, he's bringing the culture. We said that. And white chocolate himself. But there's another piece of white chocolate out there. You know
Jesse Norman.
Oh yeah. That you know,
Best wide receiver in the game.
I'm
Cooper
willing to
Kupp.
throw an MVP conversation right now too.
To Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp, man.
Wow,
Yeah.
this is the first time
Oh,
a white
so-
receiver has been an MVP conversation since Adam Thielen
Adam
a couple
Thielen,
of years
baby.
ago. Justin,
He's literally putting up 100 yards every game with a touchdown. It was
Well, Coop put up
incredible.
2 touchdowns and
Yeah,
Coop Cup.
Coop.
Coop.
No,
no,
he's
Kupp put up-
awesome this year.
He like you said, he torched the Colts.
He very well could he could end up leading the league in receiving yards easily.
He's not going to win MVP because it always goes to a quarterback for
He'll
the
never
most
be a
part.
receiver, which is stupid.
But man, because they'll give it to Stafford instead of him. Because
But that
Stafford threw him all
connection, they
those
have
balls.
so much trust to each other in the red zone. And
Yeah.
Kupp does really
Oh, yeah.
well of breaking zones, sitting in the middle, and then running after the catch.
guys, let's be honest. Cooper Kupp is just a souped up Hunter Renfro. All right, he's just he's just Hunter Renfro on like the Captain America soldier serum. But man, I'm really loving. I got the
Look at
Rams
Jesse with his
Super Bowl
Marvel
winner
knowledge.
at plus
Yeah.
1,500.
Oh
They're
my
at plus
God.
900 right now.
Oof.
Loving that deal right now.
And it's going, we're talking about the Rams offense, but their defense shut down the Bucks for
Oh
majority
yeah,
of this game.
and this was a Bucks team that has been rolling. They
Well, it
also
helps we have
injured
the top
Gronk.
player at 2 of the most important positions in all of defense. Pass rush.
I would
and
say,
corner.
and I would say definitively that corner is, I think, the most. If it's not the most important, it's at least the most like dire because
Yeah.
nobody has good corners. Like, if you have a legit shutdown corner, you're one of like maybe 3 teams.
Yeah,
I agree.
But yeah, Aaron Donald has been awesome this
insane as
season,
well.
going
another
Going
another
on
player of all time.
going on to win his another defensive player of the year easily, because
Probably.
no one else is
Name
going
it
to.
after him.
Yeah, at this rate, yeah.
Yeah. And the Bucks, the passing game was there. I mean, Evans showed up for it finally, and Gronk got hurt for a little bit, but wound up coming back. And Brady is still putting up insane numbers for the year. I'm gonna break the record in New England next week for most passing yards. But at the end of the day, the Rams just played better, and they shut down the running game, so they had to pass it all the time.
This mattered more to the Rams, I think.
This was also the Buccaneers' first loss since November of last year.
Yeah, they were kind of due for one, and this is a really good team. Also, I feel like the Bucks can definitely afford this loss and kind of use this as a time to kind of remotivate themselves, because a bunch of them are going to go into the media now and be like, "Oh, we're the underdogs now." And it's like, you're not actually. You just lost a game.
It will be interesting to see, though. Can the Rams do what the Bucks did? Go into their home stadium and win the Super Bowl.
Very possible.
So
my bank account sure hope so.
We got 3 games left, so let's make a push. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings went on and took care of the Seahawks. First time the Vikings have beat the Seahawks in 12 years.
Are good or not.
Kirk Cousins played well, didn't put them in a position to lose. They did it without Dalvin Cook. Now, that's being said, they still should need Dalvin Cook because he's a very good running back. But in the short term, in the short term, though, they played well.
Yeah, took care of business on home turf for their first win of the year. And Justin Jefferson, he's so good. This guy's insane. And Eagles took Jalen Reagor. Yeah.
I don't think he posted a catch tonight. Or maybe he had like 1 or 2.
I'll look. Take a look. See.
He had one, I think, that was called back by a penalty.
No, like Jesse said it best again. We don't know if they're good or not. And the Seahawks are just hot.
Reagor had 5 receptions for 53 yards.
Wow.
That's got to be a career high.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, good on the Vikings. We still don't know if they're good or bad because they'll go out and have a game like this and where Kirk Cousins looks good.
Got hurt, I think.
Yep.
So that sucks. But DK showed up once Lockett goes down because DK is kind of the number 2 now. But no, cool for the Vikings. This is the Vikings win. It happens.
They needed a win
5 times a year. They get one of these wins against good teams.
Let's talk about one of the revenge games that happen every so often, and that's Aaron Rodgers going into San Francisco and taking on the Niners and crushing their spirits with 30 seconds left to go with no timeout.
37 seconds.
They were trailing, and
too much time.
Just like Tom Brady, you kind of have that sinking feeling in your stomach that the inevitable is going to happen. Aaron Rodgers got the Packers into field goal range, and they walk away with the win. And Packers are starting to hit their stride a little bit.
It was just the first game jitters of Aaron being there, and media blew it out of proportion after the first week. They really did. Stephen A. Smith
were underdogs.
Yes, yeah, I know. Stephen A. Smith said he's a bad man, Aaron Rodgers. He's probably one of my favorite quarterbacks just to watch, actually play the position, and he's insane. And
not a single Trey Lance sighting.
Wrong. He scored a touchdown.
He scored. Yep. Not in the passing game. No, I was looking at the passing numbers.
He came in for 3 or 4 plays.
1 run for a yard for 1 touchdown.
Yeah, and then they called
first
another
touchdown.
one for
I think they
him.
scored.
They called another one for him, and the Packers tackled Kittle in the end zone.
Nice.
So then they pulled Lance again, and then put Garoppolo back in, and that was the Sermon 1 yard touchdown. But no, they put Lance in because they needed him to score. The offense tends to stall with the Garoppolo in the red zone here and there.
And it's just his last year there.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Lance continues to kind of look better every week.
It was his last year. It was the second they drafted Lance was his last year there. That was it.
Yep.
I don't even know if honestly, I think the best case scenario is they trade him at the deadline, and I think there will be teams that should be,
which will be ironic,
with the injuries,
because that's how he got there, and Washington should be one of them. And before we wrap up this podcast, we talked about a little bit Monday Night Football. The Cowboys went in and absolutely slapped around the Eagles 41-21. Yeah. This was the mess I kind of saw coming with the Eagles, and it finally caught up to them.
These teams aren't on the same level. No. I think that's just what it comes down to. The Cowboys are they're better than the Eagles. They're more talented. They're at a different stage of their rebuild. And Hurts
Dallas
still
is
makes
winning this division so easily.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I
easily.
agree. I think they cakewalk to it. As much as I like Hurts, he's a young quarterback and he still makes some really bad, dumb throws. But that's growing pains. And I still don't think there's there's not a quarterback in this upcoming class or a quarterback that the Eagles can get that is better than Jalen Hurts. So they need to stop kind of trying to think.
They need to get actual wide receivers for him, which is the same issue that they had with Carson Wentz and an
His-
offensive line. Nothing has changed. Different quarterbacks, same problems.
Well, here's the thing too, and
Andre Dillard,
I don't want to disrespect Quez Watkins here because he's a good player, but that's the guy that they're trying to push now as their number 3 receiver. They won't go out and get actual receiver talent. They insist on getting these guys later in the rounds and picking guys up off waiver wire and picking up guys in free agency and being like, oh no, these guys are really good. They're playing really good in practice. And it's no, go out and get actual receiver talent that's actually proven, because you're making it harder on your quarterback consistently.
Cowboys, this is Dak's first game since, the injury. So I thought that was really nice of him to come out really hot, really with the win. And I really liked what they did with the running game too. They had Pollard and Elliott out there a lot at the same time.
Splitting
they
reps.
Know what they were going to do too with both of them on the
And that's
field.
what they need to do to keep them both healthy, because Zeke gets banged up a lot.
And Zeke got 2 touchdowns out of it. And I know Jesse
so
earlier.
did Schultz.
Yeah, Schultz, I know.
Baby.
I know, crazy. And I know Jesse talked about, lockdown corners, and if you had, there's 3 of them in the league, and I think
Trayvon Diggs is getting there.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can add Diggs in there with some of the top corners in the league.
If he's not a lockdown, he is a ball hawk like Xavier Howard.
He
reminds me of Howard. He finds the ball, or he'll find a way to make plays. He reminds me more of a safety than a corner, because he's just always around the ball.
It's weird to me that they're having Micah Parsons edge rush and
he got hurt. I hope he's okay.
Van Der Esch plays linebacker. I feel like that should kind of swap, but
it's a weird thing with
I don't know. Parsons is. Here's what I think they're going to do. I think they're going to let Van Der Esch walk, or they're going to. I think he's in the last year of his deal.
Yeah, that's why I kind of thought they took.
They're going to let him
Parsons.
Walk. Yeah, they're going to let him walk and then switch Parsons to the mic
inside. Yeah,
but instead, right now, because they still want to use him, they can use him as an edge rusher. So I think they're kind of keeping it so that way he can learn the playbook first and then switch into that role next year. Because we saw how bad Patrick Queen was last year, and he's getting better this year. Yeah. But he was terrible last year. So I think they're trying to kind of work him into the defense slowly. But again, I know he did get hurt tonight, so I hope he's okay.
Well, that wraps up the Week 3 podcast. We'll be back later in the week with a draft podcast for WWE, as the draft is on Friday, either Clark and Jesse or me versus Clark. So either way, oh boy, I can't do worse than last year. So got to go back and review the notes. And then
not as many wrestlers this year, so you kind of couldn't.
No, thank God, they're all in AEW.
You actually can't pick Peyton Royce ahead of Daniel Bryan.
The draft pool got smaller this year. And then we'll also be doing a wild card pod for baseball, because that's happening. Playoffs are finally here, so we'll talk about baseball for the first time since July. And then Week 4 picks and maybe a wrestling recap somewhere down the line. Who knows? But when those come out, Clark, where can people listen to them?
Yeah, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow social medias on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Sports Dept Pod. That's Sports DEPT Pod. Justin said all the goods that are coming out. A lot of fun stuff. Like I said, second annual draft, annual, I guess we can call it now. The draft and baseball and football and sports. We're a sports department podcast. We talk about sports, so stay tuned to all that fun stuff.
Hey, hockey. Woo.
I don't know about that one.
Curling.
Hey. Olympics.
Maybe.
Yeah.
When we get there.
You could lead the charge on that one.
Stay tuned to all that fun stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.